South Africa last Sunday. Jamie Mayer comes in at inside centre for the injured. They have no illusions about the task facing them today. Pablo Lemoigne, the referee, Stuart Dickinson from Australia. Gregor Townsend sets the game in motion, deep into the 22. And an immediate mistake. That's a little Lamelas, the hooker, making a mess of it. And immediately, Scott Hastings, Scotland have a platform inside the Uruguayan 22.
Well, this is a facet of play that Scotland will want to dominate, but look at the Uruguayan number 8. That's where their strength of their game is. And we've got Gary Armstrong putting the ball in.
Armstrong going himself. Stopped and set up. It's a good ball. Armstrong there again. Townsend tackled hard in the centre. Nobody taking any dummies, at least at the start of the game, from Gregor Townsend. Loops it back inside. Armstrong. Leslie. Chip and chase from Metcalf. Marked there by Cardoso. He just lays it off sideways there to Diego Aguirre, the fly half. He's got a younger brother, Sebastian, also in the squad, and also a fly half, and they both play for the same club, so goodness knows what they do for rugby during the normal season. Now, this was an area where Scotland did not excel against South Africa. Bullock's throwing was pretty poor. I mean, he dropped below a 70% success rate, which is totally unacceptable in these modern days of line-out. Well, he got away with that. It was just a tiny bit off line to me, but the touch judge and the referee are happy, and that's all that counts. Good drive from the Scottish forward into the Uruguayan 22. Armstrong, but he's collared, but only by the number 7, Panizza, coming offside.
Well, Gary Armstrong just thinking what to do here. He's called up Kenny Logan to go for the safe 3 points, and perhaps that's an indication of just a little bit of nerves in the Scottish camp. I think they just want to get points on the board during the course of this game.
I'm sure that Jim Telfer said to them, Scott, you know, play it as if it's a normal game, because we can't afford to mess around. Just do things as you would do if they were the best country in the world.
It's the type of thing in a game like this that it might open up in the last 20 minutes once they've got quite a few scores on the board, but early doors yet. You know, they've obviously got to just take their points to start with, and we'll see how the game evolves throughout the whole 80 minutes.
Kenny Logan hoists his total for Scotland to 144. 3 minutes gone, Scotland lead 3-0. Well, I have to tell you that my co-commentator, Scott Hastings, has come in with a sheaf of bets. He'll be hoping that Scotland continue in this vein. I think Sporting Index have got it at a 50-55 spread, but you're going even bigger than that, Scott.
I'm going after 66 points here, but back to the action here.
Penalty to Uruguay. Gregor Townsend, the culprit. And Aguirre. What's he going to do? He's going to go for goal, just calling for the kicking team.
Now we look here, here's the penalty, cause number 10, Gregor Townsend, there quite clearly went high with a loose arm, and If he's going to go into a tackle like that, he must drive with the legs and go through, but it was patently too high. Referee penalised him accordingly.
Well, they started at 0-0, it was level then, they've got a chance to level it at least once more here. If Diego Aguirre, he got a penalty and a conversion. They use this system of a left-footed kicker from the right side of the pitch and a right-footed kicker from the left. The scrum half Chiara will take them from the other side. Gives it a mighty wallop and straight through the middle. Scotland 3, Uruguay 3. Nice little touch there from Lame, the second row. Here's the little scrum half. Chiara. Kenny Logan cuts back inside. Chiara gets him along with Panizza. And a penalty to Scotland that time. They're just diving in over the top. Rodrigo Sanchez, the loose head prop there. Well, that augurs well. There's a lot to be desired from Gregor Townsend's kicking at the weekend, but he really hit that one well, and I'm sure that the backs coaches have had him out on the practice field doing a lot of kicking since then, Scott.
That's put him in good position here. Gordon Bullock with the second line out. It's important that Gordon keeps hitting his jumpers. There's Scott Murray obviously waiting for the call.
Gathered in beautifully. That's a good ball. At speed, it's Simpson. He can bash holes. One of the kilted Kiwis, as they're known. Alan Tate hoisted unceremoniously, running backwards. He was asking for that. Armstrong, Townsend, Simpson again. So far, good tackling from the Uruguayans. That was a bit flat, but got away with it again. Metcalf. Aguirre hoists it high, Logan underneath it. He takes it. Good timing on the tackle. Armstrong flicks inside. Scotland get themselves into trouble just trying to keep this ball alive. And a little knock-on from Uruguay gives them Scotland the scrum.
Well, Scotland playing a little bit into Uruguayan hands. We know that they're going to be up for the defence. I think they're going to spread it or put the ball certainly behind that Uruguayan defence, but just putting themselves under a little bit of pressure early doors here.
Pablo Lemoyne, the Bristol prop, huge man, 20.5 stones of him, really enjoying his time in England. He says his English is 5 times as good as when he arrived. And the Uruguayans certainly don't intend to just give this one away. I went down to see them in Peebles yesterday, and after 10 minutes the coach chucked me out of their training session. He said, I don't want anybody from Britain seeing any of these moves.
And you being a Welshman, John, passing on tips to Scotland.
He didn't know about that, obviously. There we are. About a stone a man. Sorry, about 3 pounds a man, about just over a stone in all. So not a lot in it, but a hell of a lot of that Uruguayan weight is in the form of Pablo Lemoyne. Simpson gets it away, beautifully supported by Leslie. But unfortunately, the third line of support just wasn't there. Sanchez turns inside. Knock forward from the Uruguayans again. Stuart Dickinson. Armstrong feeds. Simpson to Leslie. Townsend, but he just flicks it on straight into the arms of Vecino. And the penalty has gone not to Uruguay as Chiara hoped, but to Scotland.
Well, here's Gregor Townsend here, taking the ball off Leslie, who flicks it on to Mayer, but the interception there, it's just a little bit loose here from Scotland here.
Exactly, Scott. You feel they've got to do the basics well first before they start doing this fingertip stuff.
Yeah, a couple of pickups from Simpson at the back, fancy moves off the back. I think they should just be playing it right into Gregor Townsend's hands. He can then dictate the play from there.
Gregor Townsend, no strapping on his knee, and that will be a sight most Scots will like to see. He spent quite a lot of time, he was telling me, up in the Firth of Clyde when they were training up at Troon, standing in the cold water up there to just reduce the swelling, using the waters of the Firth of Clyde instead of an ice pack. They just got the hand to it. That was Bado, the big second row, very effective line out forward. Chiara, Aguirre puts it over the top, but it's straight to Gary Armstrong. And the forwards didn't retreat. They've actually got to actively retreat. They were just standing around within the 10-metre area.
Well, Armstrong was looking for a quick one there, but the referee had words with Gary Armstrong just to let him know what had happened. And Gregor Townsend will have a simple kick, hopefully to put pressure onto Uruguay in Uruguay's 22. Excellent touch line there from Gregor Townsend.
That's a terrific kick, just 3 or 4 metres from the line. 12 minutes gone, Scotland still haven't scored a try.
Only their second foray into actually Uruguayan territory here, and they'll be looking for a good take from the line out here, a really sharp throw from Bullock, and obviously a drive off it.
Just Grimes and the Uruguayans have actually packed tight in there to try and stop the Scots. Now the Scots get it going. Ever closer. Over the line now. Have they got it down? Yes, they have. So the first try in the 13th minute. And the man who comes up with it, I think, was Martin Leslie.
Here we see the try again. Good forward play here from Scotland. Uruguay battled hard to stop the drive, but in amongst the bodies there, Leslie's driven over the line.
Well, he scored a good try against South Africa, did Martin Leslie, and that's his 5th try now in 9 matches for Scotland. And you can hear all the music. The Scottish team have got a different piece of music for every player, which will be played after they score a try. And that was Are You Gonna Go My Way, the intro from the Lenny Kravitz number. Kenny Logan. Again, beautifully struck, and that makes it 10-3 to Scotland.
Well, here we see the try again. Very packed tight by the forwards. Driving over the line, Leslie over.
Aguirre. And they've let it go. It's too long. That'll be a scrum back on halfway. Or Scotland have got the option of taking a quick line out. Everybody just checking. A few teams have been caught by that in the past. But in fact, they've gone for the scrum back. Tom Smith on this side, Gordon Bullock at hooker, and George Graham on the tight head. Townsend, dummy runners, Metcalf comes through from the back, Leslie keeps it going, Simpson set up for Jamie Mayer. Townsend, they've got men spare out wide. Bullock almost getting in the way, but not called for obstruction. And a knock on by Scotland there. That blur of movement, they achieved so much with it out in Paris in the spring, Scott. But here, not working quite so well.
Very, very good defence there from Uruguay, from Costabi. It was a pity because Scotland's attacking platform off the phase ball there was a little bit flat. Nobody came from depth and hit the ball on the angle.
Just getting ready. Cameron Murray to take the quick throw, thinks better of it. 10-3. And 16 minutes gone. Bullock, and they came up with the ball, but it wasn't from the man that they intended to throw it to. It was Martin Leslie who got a hand to it to rescue it. Townsend, Leslie in everything, but knocked forward by Pountney.
Well, one of the errors creeping into Scotland's game again. It's just, this is the area that Jim Telfer wants to avoid again. Good pass, delayed pass. Leslie goes through, but he tries and flicks the ball up. Butch Pountney just didn't quite get his hands to the ball.
Chiara. And pressure on Aguirre, but he gets his kick safely into touch. Aguirre sometimes plays scrum half, apparently. He's a mighty big scrum half, 6'1.5", tall, 15 stone. Big man for an outside half. Well, again, it wasn't certain. Pountney to Leslie. Those two back row forwards working well in tandem wide out. In goes Armstrong, burrowing in to get that ball out. And again, coming in from the side, that was Lamé, the second row, but he joined the ruck halfway up. He must come in from behind the hindmost foot.
Again, extremely lateral play there from Scotland without anybody coming in and hitting the ball at pace and trying to get deep into that Uruguayan defence. And also, it was slow ball, hence the penalty. And as a result, Gregor Townsend's just pinned Uruguay back a little bit deeper into their own 22.
Gregor Townsend now playing his club rugby at Brive, that hotbed of rugby in the west of France. That's a better throw. Back round the front. Easy stuff. Armstrong in for the try. Well worked set move. A front peel. And the captain gets the try. And that's only his 5th try for Scotland in his 49th international.
Well, a good try there by Scotland. That was straight off the training park. You could see that, the way they executed the movement. It was very, very slick. Here we are with Simpson with a great catch and take. He feeds. Note the Uruguayan forwards going round to the side there, by which time Leslie's come back and fed Armstrong going down the blind. Excellent try from Scotland's skipper.
Leslie in it again. He was the support man from the back of the liner who made the extra man to give Armstrong the run in. And Gary Armstrong's piece of music ready to go from Republica. Kenny Logan, the Wasps wing. Well, he's striking the ball very well indeed. That one's over to 17-3. Scotland lead.
Here's the try again from the reverse angle. Great play by Simpson. Leslie put in the clear and delivers a good pass to Gary Armstrong.
Aguirre. Lovely jump there from Scott Murray. Simpson. Bullock takes it up again. Bit more space this time on the setup. Gregor Townsend. Scotland recycling it again. Oh, and the pass inside was a little too clumsy. Metcalf is back though. And a penalty to the Uruguayans. And it's Alan Tate who the referee says deliberately he just left himself in the way and took the man out.
The hands are up saying nothing to do with me, ref, but he was properly picked up there, and a needless penalty in all honesty.
Alan Tate though, a real old pro, he's had a wonderful career. His debut right back in 1987, one of the 5 players there are in this tournament who took part in that 87 tournament. And he then of course went to Rugby League with Widnes, had 16 Great Britain caps at Rugby League, and after a 9-year gap came back to Union and made the 97 Lions tour, scored a try for them in the first test victory. Now 35 years old, but really enjoying his rugby still. And here you can see the Uruguayan tactics that we were talking about. This is little Chiara, who's just to the left of the post, so he will kick right-footed. Over it goes. Well, they haven't looked like scoring a try, but they're still in the game at this stage. 22 minutes gone. 17-6. Scotland lead. Kanitsa gathers it in well. Both the Uruguayan flankers look very useful. Aguirre finds a good touch, but effectively, Scott, they're giving possession back to Scotland unless Scotland make a mess of this, because they really haven't got the armour to compete in the line-out, have they?
As long as Gordon Bullock keeps his throwing in straight and they don't overcomplicate the calls, I think that's what we're looking for, or certainly what Scotland are looking for, and Coach Scotland, Jim Telfer.
Going to the back, off the top from Scott Murray. Townsend, he's just saw him take the look and go for that little gap and then look for support inside. Chip and chase from Kenny Logan, gathered in well there by Menchaca, and he marked it as he caught it. Well, you don't have to be stationary anymore to make the mark. This touch, Metcalf. Now Metcalf spotting a little bit of space. He's got real pace. And the ball killed by Uruguay. Penalty Scotland. Referee Stuart Nicholson just having a chat with Omachia. I can guess what he's saying. I'm sure what he's telling him is that already it's becoming apparent that the Uruguayans are deliberately trying to kill the ball, and he's not going to have it.
Yeah, this is a tactic that I saw Uruguay use against their game against Spain, and it has a tendency for the South Americans to go over the top to try and kill the ball to stop. And here we see Murray going and taking on, and Ormachia, their captain, quite obviously, look at him, he's just lying on top of Murray there. He's making no attempt to get off him so that Scotland can release the ball.
Bullock to Grimes that time, but it wasn't straight. First mistake from Scotland in the line out, and that's given away a key position. The Uruguayans now have the scrum 10 metres from their own line. A little signal from the referee saying that the front rows went up. He's not blaming anybody this time. Pablo Lamain and his hooker Diego Lamelas. Chiara finds Aguirre, and he can't make much of a touch from that angle. Scotland with another chance inside the Uruguayan 22. The whole of the back division, apart from Alfonso Cardoso, the fullback from the Carrasco Polo Club, so they ought to have a good understanding. Scott Murray again down the back. Big drive from the Scottish forwards. They really hit the back of that line out with power and pace. And are they going all the way? Not quite. And the Uruguayans again all over it. They were offside that time. Penalty to Scotland. Gary Armstrong just having the ball kicked out of his hand as he tried to take a quick penalty.
Well, Gary Armstrong's got a penalty here. I would actually take the scrum. Scotland are obviously doing well in the scrum here, and certainly from the set piece it might open up more opportunity.
So it's going to be a little tap and go. Big drive comes on again. Well, they've almost got the scrum formation there. They must surely get over. And the referee couldn't see it. I think we'll find they probably did get that down, but he was quite right. He couldn't see it. I think that was Stuart Grimes thinking I'd been robbed of a try.
Yes, but there's a lot of bodies here, and that's the problem sometimes about taking one of these. But quite obviously, Grimes has gone down there and scored a try, and the referee's missed it.
Yeah, he had to be around the front to see that one, but our cameras caught it. Desperate defence from the Uruguayans. They've got to be careful. They cannot take the scrum down or up. On goes the big drive. The ball between Simpson's feet. Secondary shove coming on from Scotland. Well held, though, by the Uruguayans. It's gone through 90 degrees, so it'll be reset. Scotland's put in yet again. There's the men having to take all the pressure. Sanchez, Lamelas and Lemoyne. This time, Metcalf trying to wriggle over, has to set it up though. It was a pile-up. It wasn't a ruck or maul, and it wasn't going to come out. So the referee giving Scotland a scrum again.
Well, pressure still on here. That's important for Scotland. And surprisingly, they released that one early doors to the back. So it'll be interesting to see what happens this time, whether the forwards keep it in or whether the backs have another chance.
Picked up by Simpson. Over he goes. Nobody really laying a hand on him at all. And he'll enjoy that one particularly because it's his first try for Scotland. Gordon Simpson, born in Auckland, but resident in Scotland.
Well, these tries actually look so easily, but again, the scrummage platform, if you note, the scrum just takes a little shift there on the right, which allows Simpson the space to dive over under the posts.
Gordon Simpson qualifies. His mother's father was from Glasgow. Played 30 games for Wellington in the Interprovincial Championship and the Wellington Hurricanes in the Super 12. Tough, gritty performer. Taking over from Eric Peters at number 8 because of Peters' injury. Logan's on target again, and Scotland lead 24-6 with half an hour gone.
Here we see the scrum once again. A good hook from Bullock there. Just out of shot, it was just George Graham who burrowed in, turned that scrum a little bit, and there's Simpson with a step off his right, beats the tackle of Aguirre and dots the ball down beside the post there.
Budge Pountney getting a little bit of attention in the middle of the Uruguayan half, so Scotland effectively down to 14 men. Simpson straight back into the action, catching the kick-off and carrying it up. George Graham. Enjoying a real Indian summer. Graham winning his 10th cap, wasn't capped until he was 30. Another one who went to rugby league. He played rugby league for Carlisle. Simpson, Armstrong, hands off one man, and away goes Kenny Logan. Out to Armstrong, but Metcalf it is who gets in there and takes it first. He gets over and the tries given. Protests. Vecino is saying it was a double movement and is imploring the touch judge to step in and disallow the try. He's having none of it, and Glenn Metcalf scores his second try for Scotland.
Well, wonderful running here. Armstrong breaks the tackle. Could have fed earlier, but look at the support running here from Kenny Logan. He takes the ball inside, then throws the ball outside. Metcalf takes, steps inside, and has the power and the strength to go over the line in the corner.
Yeah, I think that was a good try. No problems there. It wasn't a second movement. He's allowed, when he's tackled, to do something immediately, and that includes placing the ball, and that's what he did.
Yeah, just earlier in that shot, it looked as though Kenny Logan may have thrown the pass forward to Metcalf, and that was where the Uruguayans were complaining.
Glenn Metcalf, another one of the kilted Kiwis, born in Auckland, playing his 9th consecutive test. Oh, it's a good kick, but it's just going to fade to the left of the posts. So it stays 29 to Scotland, 6 to Uruguay.
Good break here from Armstrong. He's got great power there. Look at the support from Logan, trying to support him. He calls. You can hear the communication almost from that replay. Gives a good pass overhead to the supporter Metcalf, who has the awareness of to actually hand off Armstrong first of all, but good strength to get to the corner.
Yeah, you were saying this one's mine. You've already had a try, Gary. I'm going to grab one. Scott Murray seems to have picked up where he left off last season. He had a terrific season last season. For me, was the player of the championship. Gregor Townsend. Cardoso. He hoists it high back, and Metcalf underneath it. Wide to Gary Armstrong, and there's wide open spaces out there. Back goes Costabile, sorry. Costabile getting back to it, and the scrum is going to go Scotland's way.
Well, just coming out of shot here's Glenn Metcalf, who wraps up Costabile in the tackle, pulls his jersey off him actually, but it was great awareness first of all from Gary Armstrong, because Cardoso had taken the ball for Uruguay, thumped it downfield, and it was Gary Armstrong, knowing the fullback was out of his 22, who found space there in the Uruguayan danger area.
Well, there are strict regulations on what padding you can wear, but as you see now, quite a lot of the rugby players wearing quite a bit of stuff underneath their jerseys. Jim Telfer closest to the camera, Ian McGeechan furthest away. Telfer, it's just he's going to retire as coach after the World Cup, and Ian McGeechan will take over. The two, of course, have worked so well in tandem, both for Scotland and for the British Lions. Obstruction against Scotland. We're down in the tunnel. We've got Jim Delahunt. Jim, over to you.
Thanks, John. We heard Gavin Hastings chatting to Jim Rosenthal in the studio before the match about the crowd. Well, we haven't got an official figure yet. It looks close to 10,000. But I was in the South African camp yesterday morning, and one or two of their players were suggesting that with the number of South African fans expected to arrive in Edinburgh tomorrow, the crowd for Sunday's game, South Africa-Spain, could even be bigger than that for this afternoon, Scotland-Uruguay. That would be interesting and also very worrying for Scottish rugby, given the comments of Jim Telfer yesterday. He's clearly rattled that there's not a big enough crowd here this afternoon.
Well, for once, the Uruguayans rattling the Scottish pack. A terrific drive from them. That's taken them all of 30 metres. Oh, and Scott Murray slowing that one down by getting in the way. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt and say that it wasn't deliberate, but it looked awfully like a professional foul to me. Big tackle there from Grimes. Penalty to the Uruguayans.
Well, the referee's saying holding in the tackle, so he's penalised actually Scotland from a previous infringement, so I don't think it was letting go of the player on the ground at the time.
Aguirre finds touch inside the Scottish 22. And Aguirre showing a little Latin temperament perhaps there. That didn't look as if he was in accord with his captain. Well, Scotland have lost that one that wasn't straight. Uruguay have only thrown the ball in twice, but they've won it. It's now 3 out of 3. Good drive off the side. Great drive from the Uruguayans. They're just 5 metres short. Trying to wriggle off the other way. And even little Chiara getting in there and pushing in the back of the maul. They're only a metre short now. On goes the drive again. Have they got over? And it's going to be a Uruguayan scrum. Great effort from the Uruguayans, Scott.
That was wonderful driving play. If you note their body positions, they were extremely low, and Ormachea there. He is a powerhouse actually at number 8. The 40-year-old, okay, looking a bit out of breath, but well-drilled control play from the line out.
And it was from the tight loose that he actually scored that first try for Uruguay in the World Cup against Spain. There you see the massive figure, number 3, Pablo Lamagna. 20.5 stones, which puts him right up there with Os Durant as the biggest man in the World Cup. Just a bit of attention. I know Bob Dwyer, the Bristol coach, the man who coached Australia to the World Cup win in 1991, thinks he's got a real good buy in Lemoyne. Well, he's forced up on that occasion. Quite difficult scrummaging for him. He is a tall man and up against the two very short Scottish props. Now they've got the drive really swinging it round, coming to the open side. Can they get over? Well, again, Stuart Dickinson being consistent if nothing else.
Well, certainly they're getting over the line, but they're not actually getting the ball line. Good defence there from Scotland, but superb driving. Again, note the body positions from these South Americans. They're absolutely superb and technically very, very good.
Juan Carlos Barro there, the big second row. Getting a good push. It's coming round, though. It's swinging. It's gone through 90 degrees, so they'll have to reset that. Tom Smith is 5'10", George Graham barely 5'8", and you've got Pablo Lemoyne up at 6'1" plus. Free kick to the Uruguayans. Scotland pushing too early. That looks like Lemoyne. Just trying to take a quick one, get the momentum going. Well stopped by the Scots the first time. And that time they didn't get the ball onto the ground. It was a maul, and the use it or lose it rule came into force. So Scotland have the put in, the maul was stopped, they didn't get the ball down to the ground to allow it to be healed, and therefore Scotland get the put in. Well into injury time now at the end of this first half. We've already had over 2 minutes. Armstrong, no fancy stuff there. Down the middle to Cardoso. And that was a high tackle, I think. Cardoso, I think it was Leslie.
Well, here's the incident here. Great take by Cardoso. Sidesteps Murray, but here comes the tackle from Leslie, comes in. Oh, it was a high one, it really was. He didn't get his arms. If you note here, you've actually got to put your hands round the tackler, your arms round the tackler, but he just goes in with the shoulder and a bit high. Yeah,
that was a bit of a naughty one. That was high, and no wonder Cardoso is taking some time to get up.
Well, he hasn't really moved actually since he got the hit. It's a timing thing sometimes. He seemed to duck as he went into the tackle. Here we have another look at this one. Well, no, it was actually very high from Leslie, a bit negligent there.
If you're saying it was high, Scott, it was definitely high. These Scots don't like to criticise their teammates, but it was. We got it out with Scott. It was a nasty one. And he has had a yellow card caution, and just certainly not a dirty player, Martin Leslie. Cardoso's okay, that's important.
The way the game's moved on over the last few years, I think all teams are looking for the big hit, and without doubt Martin Leslie was actually going for the big hit there, but as Cardoso ducked into the tackle, it just took him a little bit high above the shoulders.
Well, we're coming up to 5 minutes of injury time with that injury to Cardoso. And that gives little Chiara a chance to post a third penalty. Struck it well, but he's pulled it wide of the left post. Stuart Dickinson looks at his watch, he whistles up, that's half time, and Scotland leading Uruguay 29 points to 6.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Scott. Rejoin us at Murrayfield for the views of Francois Pienaar and Gavin Hastings. So then, half-time at Murrayfield, the Scots leading Uruguay by 29 points to 6. Former Scotland captain Gavin Hastings, how do you see the first half?
Well, I think the Scots will be reasonably relaxed. I don't think they've played some great rugby, but they've been reasonably clinical. They've not been flashy. They knew that Uruguay would come at them for the first 20-25, and fair play to Uruguay. They almost deserved a try right in half-time there. But I think I would really hope to see Scotland expand everything and really run riot in the second half. I certainly hope that we do that.
Francois, you're up some?
I never thought they took their first penalty and they went for the post to get the 3 points under the belt. We showed that they were approaching this game in all honesty. I disagree a little bit with Gavin, if
He's
I
a
may,
vet
Gavin.
in every sense of the word. He's an animal vet, is his main job at home. The Uruguayans, of course, all bar one, very much amateurs. And he's certainly a vet in terms of a veteran. Ian McGeechan, looking sanguine as always. Jim Telfer, the one who gets really emotional and built up, and as we saw so often on the Lions tour in 1997, it's Ian McGeechan tapping him on the shoulder and saying, keep it all in, Jim. Aguirre restarts. Simpson setting it up. Wider run. Gregor Townsend kicks for the wide open spaces. Cardoso. Chip and go from him. It's a good kick, but he doesn't fancy taking on Metcalf. He gets there and just waits. Simpson with the setup and holding on there on the floor, going in over the top. In fact, it's Glenn Metcalf. That's what happens when the full-backs and the wingers try to play the forward game. And a substitution at half-time for the Uruguayans. They've pulled on Fernando Sosa Diaz at scrum half instead of Chiara. Well, they've missed touch, and that's a bad mistake. Kenny Logan sets it up in front of his own post. Scotland must win this one. And a penalty to Uruguay. A bad mistake from the Scots. They chose to run it in and take it on. Nothing wrong with that, providing you win the ball.
Well, again, Jim Telfer, we talked about the intensity being picked up by the Scotland team, but a little bit of hesitation there from Kenny Logan. He wasn't quite sure what to do, but got trapped in under his own post and subsequently gave away a penalty.
And Aguirre can't resist the 3 points on offer.
Well, we've seen some great kicking throughout this World Cup, and Aguirre kicked beautifully against Spain last week at Gala Shields. He's a big guy, 6'1", very much a left footer. And as we see there from the caption, 18 points in 31 tests, and he'll be looking to actually increase that straight in front of the sticks here at Murrayfield.
Chiara was the main kicker in the qualifying matches, but he's 33 years old, which I think is probably why they replaced him now at half-time to bring on some fresh, younger legs. Sosa Diaz. Stroked over by Aguirre, and it's Scotland 29, Uruguay 9. Townsend. Sosa Diaz But he got in there very well the first time, but then lost the ball on the second contact, and it was a hand into the ruck trying to regain possession for Uruguay that gave away the penalty.
Townsend just jogging across there. He'll stick this in the corner, and I'm sure we'll see another drive from Scotland off the top of the line out.
Into the corner it goes, just as Scott Hastings said it would. John Leslie was so important to Scotland last year. Do you think he is going to get back in time for the playoffs?
Well, I was chatting to before the game, and certainly he had every hope of getting there.
Scotland win the line out. That's the first bit that had to be done. Now trying to drive it. And they've given away the scrum. It was a maul. They were making no impression, and they didn't get the ball back. The moment that maul stops going forward, they have got to use the ball or they lose it. So Diaz almost has his kick charged down by Martin Leslie. Back it comes. And in fact, they were in front of the kicker. The Uruguayan forwards just surging forward, even though the scrum half had kicked from behind. And this time, the Scots are electing to take a penalty scrum. Just trying to drag all the Uruguayan forwards into one place and create some spaces perhaps wider out. It'd be good to see them just try and move this ball very slickly to a wide position. Simpson back inside, they don't go for that option. And Puck back in the tackle. Little knock forward, and again Scotland very, very unconvincing.
Very good defence though for the Uruguayans. They're great around those tighter fringes. And here, look at this. Here's Leslie, goes in. Wonderful tackle there. And the drive coming in there. Ormachea coming in as well.
Yeah, Martin Panizza put in the first one. Good flankers. And Aguirre all off balance there. Just glad to get that one away to touch. I think he's just talking to himself.
Well, we talked about his reluctance to go onto his right foot. He's predominantly a left foot kicker, and there he was under pressure on his left foot and doesn't have the confidence to actually go onto his right.
From Bullock. That's a good throw. Scott Murray. Good drive from the Scots. Ormachea getting in the back. Now it comes back to Gary Armstrong. This is where we'd like to see the ball being moved wide. Doesn't come the first time. Scott Murray. Oh, but he couldn't get his pass away and he's given up possession.
Well, more errors there from Scotland. Scott Murray adjudged to have knocked the ball on there. Anyway, it's under pressure. Scott Murray takes a step here. You'll note though, he's caught in the tackle. They're not holding on to the ball in the contact situations and just setting up good second, third phase ball. They seem more intent, because it's perhaps weaker opposition, they're more intent in trying to move the ball out of tackle, but we're then seeing these errors creeping into the game.
Well, last season it was the ability of the forwards to get into the wide open spaces and support moves which had been initiated by John Leslie and Gregor Townsend, which really started to tear opposition defences apart. And that's the sort of play that they're going to have to come up with if they're going to make an impression in this World Cup. Scrum went up. This time it's spun round. It's not a very stable scrum. Stuart Dickinson blaming nobody though. The young Australian referee. That's a better scrum. Now Scotland, though, getting a bit of pressure onto the Uruguayans. Lovely little dummy. Sosa Diaz, though, losing it. Scotland setting it up. Now they have it. Slow ball. Can they make some space? Tate gets it wide. Metcalf. Dummy and go. And again, they've lost it on the tackle. Townsend. Bullock. Metcalf. And the Uruguayans really piling in there, making their tackles. Now it's come back. Townsend. Tate. Oh, and Tate really caught in two minds again. Didn't either go or pass. Gregor Townsend. Tries to wriggle through. George Graham now. But again, all the momentum lost, and the Uruguayans diving in over the top, so Scotland get a penalty. But not good stuff, Scott.
No, there seems to be a lack of direction here. I think we talked earlier about John Leslie's ability to come back from his injury, and we're just missing that 10-12 link and understanding. Jamie Mayer really hasn't seen a lot of the ball at playing at 12, and Townsend hasn't seemed to be linking and setting his back division alight. Also, a wee bit of frustration creeping in there. Alan Tate, he did have men over, but we've hardly seen Alan Tate in the game. He's desperate for a run, and he's just taken the wrong option there as he's weighed up the Uruguayan defence. But full credit to Uruguay, they're putting the Scots under pressure, making them play like this.
Gary Armstrong took a big hit in that. There you can see he just got the pass away, and it's one of those moments when he had just relaxed for a moment, and they hurt.
Well, I felt that one in the commentary box here. I'm not surprised he's puffing.
Brian Redpath, anxious to get a run. It was only an injury that cost him his place in the team, and Armstrong got back, took over the captaincy from Redpath, and Redpath has been sidelined ever since. I don't think we're going to see Gary Armstrong coming off. He knows that the next game is his 50th cap, that much coveted 50th cap. Gordon Bullock. He's got a brother, Alan, who plays for Scotland under 21s in the A team as a centre. Good drive, good line out from the Scots. Back it comes. Now can they make some magic? Mayer straight through the middle. Nice and direct, offside. I think they came in from the side and dived over the top. The man being called out is Vado. Juan Carlos Vado. And Stuart Dickinson wanted to make the point in front of the captain. Vado being penalised, so coming in after the whistle had gone and starting a bit of a fracas.
Well, the referee here speaking to Armitage, he's obviously given them a fair talking to there, and he's actually asked the captain to go back and have a word with his forwards to stop committing these slight infringements that the referee's picking up and having to penalise the Uruguayan pack forwards.
Quickly taken, they push it wide. Trying to catch the Uruguayans by surprise. and the ball again. The ball in the air, and it's a scrum to the Uruguayans. Better push from the Scots. Armstrong almost in and robbing them. Nicely out of trouble though. Good hands from the Uruguayans, and suddenly the kick right up into the Scottish 22. Metcalf back. He cuts back. Chance now to build up ahead of Steve. Throws inside, but the pass goes astray. And it's a line out to Scotland, just inside their own half.
Well, Glenn Metcalf is an exciting runner here, comes off his right well, but he just tries and forces the pass here, off the left hand, but Cardozo with the interception puts it straight out, therefore it's a Scotland line out.
Scott Murray off the top, outside again, the loop around from Townsend, Simpson, and suddenly the move just runs out of steam. Tate got man and ball, it's scrum to Scotland, but again, no penetration.
Well, we've said it again, we've been a bit frustrated with this. There just seems to be it's all very lateral, everything's going across. Townsend throws. Watch Simpson's angle of running there, it's all diagonally, puts Tate under pressure there, and Scotland are going nowhere.
Little flick back. Mistake there at the base of the scrum. Metcalf rescuing it. He sets it up. Back it comes. Tate with the punt and chase. Cardoso. Lovely little sidestep from him, but he can't get round the maul. Penalty. Bardo standing off. Back inside to him. The big second row goes past one. Makes 5 meters. So Lamelas. The hooker. Aguirre. That's the loose head. There's a knock forward by Scotland, but advantage being played to the Uruguayans. Lame, the second row, setting it up this time. Another good drive. Good ball from the Uruguayans, but they've now made it. It's off the shoulder. No knock on, says the referee. Hit the shoulder and a penalty to Uruguay. On the Scottish 22. And whatever was said at half-time, it didn't work.
Well, I just wonder if the Uruguayans were listening to Jim Telfer, the way they've started this second half, and they are putting Scotland, they're asking questions of Scotland. Scotland having to make lots of tackles here in this particular game. And Aguirre will come up to slot the penalty.
Well, it's going to be a long haul back if he's going to do it all in penalties. They're 29-9 down, but once they're into double figures, they'll start to feel getting themselves back in touch.
Well, there's Jim Telfer there on the walkie-talkie, and it wouldn't surprise me if he asked for 2 or 3 of the Scotland subs to start warming up. I just feel that the Scotland performance this afternoon is a little bit flat, and we actually need sort of 2 or 3 new players to come on to really be and to act as catalysts for a much improved performance.
Aguirre. Through the middle it goes, Aguirre. His third penalty, Uruguay's 4th. And the score, Scotland 29, Uruguay 12. Jim Telfer obviously feeling that Gary Armstrong is feeling that bump, so he's replaced him with Brian Redpath. Coming up now to midway through the second half. Aguirre has failed to find touch. Cameron Murray. Maya. Oh, and a Uruguayan there desperately trying to get over the wrong side of the ball, and well penalised, but that was very deliberate. The Scots almost got him back on that side, and again the referee immediately wanting to talk to the Uruguayan captain about that. You could see actually as the tackle went in, Scott, how deliberate it was. He was desperately trying to kill the ball.
Well, the referee here, it's quite obvious, right over the ball, trying to kill it. And I can see the referee's getting very frustrated by this. And you can see actually Brian Redpath getting frustrated. Yes, he's using the boot, but it's right to try and release the ball. But again, we see the referee speaking to Armachea, the skipper of the Uruguayan team. He's asking for more discipline from his players, and I can see a yellow card coming out here for a continual infringement and persistent infringement. Indeed, the referee has actually just turned around to Armachea. He's going to give a yellow card for persistent infringement.
Against the tackler. The tackle he made was good, but then he tried to kill the ball. And I think the Uruguayans must get the message. And I get the feeling that Stuart Dickinson is so determined that Costabile getting the yellow card, but he's quite prepared to send somebody off for this. Scotland coming up with it. Townsend. Oh, and knocked on by Cameron Murray. The concentration is not good.
Murray seemed to come in there at a hell of a lick, and it was certainly a fast pass there, but there's no excuse for dropping a ball like this off a called move. He knows he's going to get the ball. It was quite obvious from that particular move, but Scotland again have got to eliminate these errors from their game.
And Nicolas Grier, the flanker, has now come on. Good kick from Aguirre. Big man, Grier, 6'5½", 16 stone 2. He's the only one in the team really from outside Montevideo, the capital of Uruguay. Comes from Paysandú province, from the Trebol Paysandú club. Budge Pountney picking that one off the back. Good straight running there. Now can Scotland come up with the ball quickly? Again it's stuck in there. And Scotland very frustrated now. They cannot win the quick ball they need.
Well, Jamie Mayer certainly hit the gain line at pace there, but Finazzi, he seemed to do all the stopping there. Certainly had his hands on the ball, but Scotland just can't seem to get this second phase ball that's quick.
Redpath feeds the scrum. Coming to the open side. Now there's space. Metcalf. Real pace. Well dragged down though by Grier. Redpath sets it up. He's trapped in the middle of that. Penalty Scotland.
A good run here from Metcalf, ball back to the wrong end. He sort of ran away from his support here. There was no need for that pass. This is the type of frustration that's creeping into Scotland's play. Loose passes like that, they're either getting knocked on or Uruguayans are pinching the ball. But they'll be looking to settle camp down in here and actually put a try on the board.
On comes Eduardo Berruti. Sanchez, the loose head prop, goes off. He's had a tough time of it. Good drive from the Scottish forwards. They've created much more space by going infield too. They turn it to the right and find a new weak point to drive at. Now they've got to use it. This is where they've been pulled up by the referee. That ball has gone static. He's happy to let it go this time. This time it will have to come. Scrum down Scotland, just 2 or 3 metres short. David Hilton warming up on the touchline. And George Graham is the man coming off. David Hilton goes on. They put a very big man on the Argentinians in Berruti, but he's really a lock more than a prop. In fact, I think yes, they have. They've got the numbers wrong. That's Steratze. They changed the shirt numbering. Scotland. Oh, and again the pass not going to hand. Something wrong in the Scottish communications. Jamie Mayer was going through the middle at a real lick.
Another handling error creeping in there. There's the ball, having just been knocked on, but Uruguay picking the ball up there and clearing their lines very well. But yet again, another handling error from the Scotland back division. I think they want to keep it slightly tighter and get these forwards involved with their driving.
Ponce de Leon, very light athletic lock coming on for Lame. Martin Leslie straight through the middle, knocks a man off and very quickly taken by Redpath. In goes Tom Smith. And a bit of urgency at last from Scotland. Again there's a Uruguayan body on the wrong side. And again he looked as if he was desperate to put himself over there. Number 17, Cesar Diaz. Just taken to Metcalf. He puts the ball to floor. Tom Smith trying to stand up and just bump a few people off. Now he's fed it back. Townsend still not really creating any space. Got to drag some men in. Simpson tries to do just that. Scotland forcing it forward. Now there's a bit of room. Out on the right. Smith. The prop going directly. That's not coming back again though. So scrum down Scotland. They're only 5 metres short.
Well, good play there from Scotland, trying to keep the ball alive, getting down the blind side, just changing the angle of attack. Tom Smith feeling the brunt there, however, of some great Uruguayan defence once again, it has to be said.
Yes, I think Uruguay see this as very much a triumph for them. If they can keep this score respectable. A lot of people expecting, you included, Scott, that it would be quite a rout. 29-12, the points difference. Just 17 at the moment. Scotland setting it up. Townsend, yes, he's done it, he's through. Gregor Townsend, patiently that time, waited for the gap to appear. He had a big overlap on the left and didn't need to use it. The final countdown is the music that goes up. That's the music his Breed team in France runs out to.
Well, good running there by Gregor Townsend to open up the gap and score. And that might just take a little bit of pressure off Scotland. But first of all, you saw there it was actually Redpath who first of all created the space for Townsend to go through, and the Uruguayan defence just drifted off Townsend, gave him the gap. And no player in World Rugby needs to see a gap like that.
Kenny Logan, 9 points in the first half, penalty and 3 conversions. And there's his 4th conversion, 36-12, Scotland lead.
As we hear say from another count, no, good little step there from Redpath. Townsend just shows the ball. We saw the gap open up as the defence was stretched, and Townsend will be delighted with that.
Yeah, the man who scored a try in each one of the 5 Nations matches last year. That's a pretty unusual feat. Really ringing the changes. Off come Pablo Lemoyne and little Diego Lamelas. And I think all bar one of the Uruguayan substitutes now on. Simpson tried to get the pass inside, it didn't go to hand. The Uruguayans have it, they have the scrum. So now Storace and Baruti. Big men in the front row. Uruguay still trying to keep it going. Bado. Aguirre lays it back as he's tackled. And the Scots being forced to defend hard. Ormachia, he'll keep going forever. Penalty Scotland clinging onto the ball after the tackle. Simpson, good hands, now they can get it wide. But again the pass not going to hand at the vital moment. And that'll be a scrum if there's no advantage to Uruguay, but they have the ball. Scrum not needed. Aguirre. One again by Uruguay, recycled well. Offside from Scotland. Hilton was just poking his way through, marked by Metcalf. He takes it quickly. This time the pass does go to hand. Murray. Wide on the right. Tate. Mayer. Sets it up. The Uruguayans dive straight over the top to try and stop it, but Scotland have it. Wide it goes this time. Scott Murray out in the centre. Beautifully done by Leslie. He knew he was going to get man and ball and just braced himself for it and still took the pass.
Good play there by Leslie. He's actually had a great game by cleaning up a lot of Scotland's errors. Takes the ball wonderfully well, man and ball, but steps out the tackle of Vicino. Ball in 2 hands. He's a powerful player. Look at him pumping the legs here, looking for the support pass here from Kenny Logan, but the pass just didn't quite go to hand. But the whole movement started there from Glenn Metcalf. He is an exciting runner, he's got a lovely step in him, and he seems to be a catalyst for a lot of Scotland's counter-attacks.
Yeah, my main criticism of him today, Scott, would be that having got himself going and looking as if he's going places, he's slowing down and coming to a stop. I'd like to see those Scottish backs really hitting the tackle hard. Tapped on by Simpson. And that was a very opportune moment to put the boot in from Mechacha.
Well, Mechacha here just showing good footballing skills. First it was Simpson off the left foot, he chases through off the line out, but Mechacha comes in. Well, if there was a goal on the touchlines there, he might have scored.
Neat little touch. Oh, and that was tackled in the air. Penalty to Scotland. That is dangerous. You're not allowed to tackle the jumper until he's down on the ground, and Grille was the man. Ormachia again being spoken to as the captain. The referee talking to him all the time because he speaks a little bit of English, but I'm not so sure the communications there are very good even to the captain. Peter Walton coming on for Martin Leslie, and Martin Leslie, having played really well, gets a bit of a rest. Just 5 minutes left on the clock. Redpath, and Simpson goes the other way. Walton gathers it in. And touch in goal, is it? Or is it just touch in play? No, just inside the try line. If it had been touch in goal, that would have been a 22 dropout. Francisco de los Santos. Grimes off the top. Pountney again. Yeah, the Uruguayans trying to get hands on it. Barreling through there. Peter Walton, he's got over. And it's Rob Russell, the replacement hooker, who got the final touch. His first try, his second cap. He came on as a replacement against Romania earlier this year, and now he's got a try for Scotland.
Well, good burrowing there by Rob Russell. Almost like a Jack Russell dog, actually, but superb play, actually, there. Walton's given the impetus to this whole movement. Russell realises he's not held in the tackle, therefore he's allowed to play the ball. And it was actually a good support and driving position that Russell got himself into, which gave Scotland the try.
Rob Russell, his first try for Scotland. Another one the Scots have drafted in from the other side of the world. He played for Queensland under-21s and under-19s, but came to Scotland and qualifies through his grandfather. Logan puts it over. Well, it's looking a little more convincing. 43-12 to Scotland.
Here we see again, it's the replacement from the Newcastle Falcons. Number 19 there, first of all, Peter Walton makes the ground through the Uruguayan defence. Rob Russell follows up, scores a good try.
Logan's chasing it. Scots have come up with the ball. And they've gone into touch. Forced into touch. Viana.
Well, a hint of a knock on there from Brian Redpath. He just slipped out his hands, but again, a little bit of loss of concentration, loses possession there.
Chip and go from Cardoso. Metcalf gets it straight back into field. Townsend with a bit of space. Metcalf comes to take the pass. That was risky. He's got away with it. Chip and go from Tate. He got the deflection, so Scotland will have the throw-in. Sean Longstaff on there. He's come on for Cameron Murray. Real frantic exchanges in these last 15 minutes. But the only person who hasn't got a run is Donny Weir. Rob Russell with the throw. Now let's have a look what his throwing's like. Well, it wasn't very straight, and the referee picked it up. Into stoppage time. 43-12 Scotland lead. A comfortable victory, but never quite as convincing as they'd have wanted. Ormachia still battling. Mendaro, compact little player, centre, setting up, only 5'8.5", but he's 14 stone 2. Penalty Scotland. Metcalf up and in the line again, but my goodness, he lost that badly on the tackle. Just carrying the ball, hit reasonably hard and lost the ball.
Yeah, but it was a good tackle by Pacino, the centre for Uruguay. He came and hit Glenn Metcalf, who seemed to just hold on to the ball for far too long. It should have been shifted wide, should have moved the ball away from contact there.
Well, there's the story. 75% of the game has been Scotland's, but they haven't put it to good effect. Well, Jim Telfer's face looks pretty bleak, doesn't it? I don't know what he's going to take out of that one. Scotland have scored 6 tries, but none of them have been very memorable.
Well, it's been a very flat atmosphere here in Murrayfield this afternoon. Really, Scotland have been playing a lot of the game, certainly a lot of lateral stuff. They haven't been getting through the gain line, and as a result, the crowd have been very quiet.
I think Uruguay will consider this a triumph. Ormachia trying to pick up and go, gets it the second time. Always clinging onto it there after he's been tackled. Always a penalty to Scotland. Doesn't even want to give it away so Scotland can take the penalty. Tom Smith appearing wide out. Kenny Logan still going, but he's passed straight inside Tabado. But a double loss, turnover again. Now if they could just work this wide to the right, they ought to score. But unfortunately they did it so slowly, they just ran out of space as well. It was not good movement.
Well, here we see Dave Hilton And the back's just running. There's no pace there from Alan Tate. And as we've talked about all game, the whole of Scotland's game in the back division certainly has been very lateral, not only off second or third phase ball like that, but certainly off their line-out play as well.
De Los Santos with the throw-in. Scott Murray almost got to that. It was a little tap forward, so no advantage, and Uruguay will have the scrum. Good touch from number 17. Sousa Diaz getting it away, and Mayer hauled down in the midfield. Again, penalty to Scotland. Almost every single tackle situation, the Uruguayans giving a penalty away. Redpath takes it quickly. Smith, wide to Logan. Now he's got a bit of room to go. Bucket comes on the Scottish side. Townsend. Puts it wide. Tate. Coming back Longstaff. He has to set it up. It's coming right again. Gregor Townsend, chip and go. Metcalf using his pace, but he can't get there. Little Sousa Diaz saw the danger, got back. 22 drop out to Uruguay. Kaka with the dropout. Well, did it go over? No, it didn't. Didn't ever get over the 22. And Stuart Dickinson puts us all out of our misery. He'd had enough. I think we had too. A comfortable victory for Scotland, but really not that convincing. 6 tries, but none of them really spectacular. The final score, Scotland 43, Uruguay 12.
Thank you, John. So a win for the Scots, but Gavin Hastings and Francois Pienaar are both unimpressed. Their views coming right up.